What up, Ians? We're here for our weekly romance oracle message. Hope you're doing well. I'm feeling good. I'm like nasty. I have been gardening in the kind of drizzling rain, and it's been fun. I got a new potted, sort of like a succulent, kind of looks like a maiden fern or a maidenhair fern succulent thingy, but it's not. It's called like an elephant something or another, and kind of like has these like bulbs of like teardrop shaped petals, green, and like kind of wiggly stems that kind of fern out that are fun. And then I bought a wooden garden box that's like 3 or 4 feet, 2 feet deep, and I got all of these starters for edible mushrooms. Y'all know I forage in the backwoods here, but I also had an inoculated log that was producing for a while, and it had shiitakes. And then it became exhausted, and I've been meaning to go to the purveyor and get another. And while I was out getting my other like succulent stuff, I saw that they had these grow blocks that you could put in the ground. So I got those for the box in a nice mulchy organic soil. And I got, let's see, what did I get? I got pink oysters, and I got Italian oysters, which are the ones that are usually like white to gray to brown. They're more meaty and robust. And then I got some chestnut mushrooms that look kind of like little brown button mushrooms that you'd see like at the grocery store. So I'm super excited. It said they should be blossoming within the next couple of weeks. So we're in that nice humid time of year here. So I am pumped. All right, let's see what we need to know for this week. Ooh, we have the bee, luck, industriousness, and sweet victory. So you might have heard, if you've been watching any of the videos this week, that one of our challenges for the week, and particularly through the next moon cycle, is that it will present us with like our deepest fears and concerns, and sort of like shake us, like it'll trigger that fear of death, right? And in our conscious mind and our awareness, when we feel fear, we know we're afraid, but we don't necessarily understand that the deepest core part of that feeling is coming from a fear of death. We think that the fear is totally about this other thing, and it is on a superficial level, but as you go deeper, it all kind of roots from the same place, from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which opened us up to a consciousness that allowed for death and decay. Whereas tree of life consciousness is like the ultimate perfected state of the soul, united in oneness with the spirit, the highest self. And in that consciousness, you only see the creator, you only see the light, you have direct contact, direct awareness. And so you don't see dualism, but everything is one. And there is no illusion and there's no confusion. And so they're in that world, we're so in alignment and in union with God that there is no death, there is no decay, there is no breaking down. So our challenge this week is to have the capacity to face these fears. And instead of avoiding the fear or anesthetizing the fear, it's like feeling it and facing that and taking its charge away and facing the idea of your own death and realizing that life is precious, and we need to seize the day while we have it. Even if I have a full life ahead of me, I've got so many books and so many deep writings I want to read, and so many things that I want to comment and say about those, and share that work in some capacity. And it's like, wow, I need to like get to work. I hope I live another couple of 100 years, because I don't want to have any uninterrupted study time. Right? So it becomes about getting excited about seizing the day. Now, if we get too bogged down in like the kind of gloom and doom, then that kind of starts to put a wet blanket on our excitement and fervor, and we get this sort of like despair and this like feeling of like, what's the point, and existential dread and all of that. And so it takes our, power and zeal and vigor away, right? So it's about overcoming those fears. And once you're liberated from those fears, you are so free, and you reveal so much more of your potential. Because how many things do we kind of dream and envision for ourselves, but we keep ourselves small because the ego is too afraid of that expansion, afraid of that discomfort of the unknown. It's like, think about like being new somewhere, moving, or starting a new school or something. It's like you have this like anxiety about being the new person or starting something new that you don't know how to do yet. So that fear can keep us held back and small and stagnant and in ways that we don't even realize. So this week, it's about proactively seeking out those things. What are those things that trigger us? What are those things that we fear? What are we avoiding? And what is it trying to teach us or tell us or make us aware so that we could correct? So very interesting. So I think maybe in regards to our love lives, the sweet victory is having victory over those fears. Maybe fears of putting ourselves out there and fearing rejection, or fearing getting involved with a person who doesn't have our best interests, or being tricked by somebody who doesn't have the same, goals or intentions, or whatever it is that we perceive. There's a lot of different things that you could be fearful of about approaching love and opening yourself up. But that can keep you isolated, right? Whether it be friendships or with family or romance. When we close ourselves down, it kind of closes us down altogether, where we're either open or we aren't, right? So having victory over those fears, fear of even vulnerability, right? I happened to catch a really nice little video with this woman, Jillian Turini, I think is her name. And she's, I don't know, kind of a person who comments on like relational psychology and things. She's not, sensational. She's like a serious person. But she was saying how, you can tell if someone's really interested in you genuinely by this one thing. And she's like showing your vulnerable side, showing who you really are. Like, and she was like, this is the example. This is a true life story. She was like, I was talking to this woman who had been seeing this person for like a few weeks. And she was out on a hike, and, in an impromptu moment, there was something on the hike that reminded her of like something her and this guy had talked about. And so she just decided to sort of like, in that moment, take a picture of herself and kind of send it, be like, hey, this reminded me of what we were talking about. And it's impromptu, and she's, like sweaty and natural and having fun and just like smiling and, just one of those moments where you put yourself out there and see how it goes. And he did the thing where he didn't answer back, not for like 2 days. And then he was like, oh, cool. And that was it. And so, as you're a person hearing this, you're like, okay, you can see clearly that like the guy's just not that interested in her. And he is trying to show the disinterest in a passive way, and then answering back like nonchalantly. And so in that case, the woman was like, I guess I could see how, she was like, it didn't feel right, but I was like, well, maybe he was genuinely busy or whatever. And a lot of times we tell ourselves like we're trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt and be nice, but in reality, we feel the truth within, and we're covering it up with this, like, I don't know, trying to give someone, this like optimistic attitude when they're kind of showing us the real reality and kind of trying to let us figure it out, and we're not seeing that, right? So it was like, she was like, the thing is like, it's not about telling someone everything about yourself and all your deepest, darkest secrets and all your regrets. That's not like vulnerability. That's just like dumping everything out on someone. But like that is vulnerable. It's like showing your true self and not trying to play coy. It's just like, hey, here's me out in the world, and I'm putting it out there that I was thinking of you. And maybe it's, that's a vulnerable moment, because you can kind of like, either if someone likes you, it's going to be like an invitation into being fun and playful and going back and forth, and it builds energy. But if somebody doesn't like you that much, like a moment like that where it's like, that there's feelings involved, it's not just like some physical whatever, then it can turn them off and repel them. And that's what you want, really, because then that edits out the people that shouldn't be there. But it's about reading the message clearly and accepting that, and not, trying to, I guess, twist yourself in knots to believe the best about the situation, right? So, but I think that, again, overcoming those fears and those like hesitation about being vulnerable, because you can put yourself out there like that, right? And then something like that happens, and then you're like, see, this is why I never do that, you know? And then you could be in a situation where somebody genuinely likes you, and, you know, you might go, have an urge to send them something funny. And then you think about the time where you try to put yourself out there and then you felt naked and exposed, and it totally like turned the person off, you know? And so that can leave you with this shadow hanging over that affects your behavior. And then you're not being like, spontaneous and authentic. So I don't know, those are just thoughts on the bee, because we have luck and industriousness also as part of this. And so what do bees do? They work, they get out there, they put themselves out there, and they pollinate the plants so that they bear fruit. And they work as a network, right? So when you see the hive or the network of bees, like I feel like there's a lot of buzz, there's a lot of like moving around and working together and talking about things. So I would say through the summer, don't be afraid to be, put yourself out there and create a buzz and talk to people and participate in things and network and think of fun ways to get out there in the world and physically meet people and interact, right? Make that effort to be industrious, kind of the way the bees do. Where you lure more bees with honey, I don't know, just whatever bee teaches you as an animal totem as well. And then, we have some luck coming in, and that makes sense because Venus was just conjunct with Jupiter in the sign of Cancer last week. So, that was planting seeds that weren't necessarily visible to the naked eye yet, but it's like planting seeds, and, under the soil, the seed just kind of sits there and it has to like kind of absorb a lot of water and then kind of germinate and break open, and then the sprout is like gradually making its way up. So there's a lot going on that we can't see that's preparing for even when we get that first sprout that breaks soil. And then after that, there's still a process too. So don't get disheartened if you feel like, well, that Jupiter Venus conjunction happened and my life's still just the same. It's going to take time, but seeds are well planted. So just believe. Okay, so our next card is the Eagle. Spirit, integrity, connection to the angelic realm. I love this. So again, underscoring that idea of leading from your spirit, tuning into the higher self, the guidance of the higher self, giving yourself enough time and space to have the stillness to connect with that direction. And again, like the bee, the networking, involve your angels. Ask your angels, where should I go today? These are the things that I'm hoping for. I'll let you handle the logistics behind the scene. But in the meantime, what can I do to merit the vibrating and resonating in such a way that I can have this person come into my life and, we can make a successful go of it. So I like that. Eagle, kind of like overseeing and protector, and kind of has the longer vision. And we have Hawk. I love this. All of our bird friends that kind of, hover over and protect us. Omens and messages. So watch out for the signs, spiritual help and guidance, and then ask for spiritual help and guidance. Literally ask for help in your network. Do y'all know anybody who's single who I might like? Or do you know any events or things that I should go to? Have any idea of stuff I should get involved in? Let your friends help you vibes, right? And then also involve the angels. Not only in asking for spiritual help with navigating your path to bring you into connection with this person, but also for the help to change within or evolve within or awaken within or be directed to something that might need to occur before these pieces can come together, right? Maybe there's something that your attention is needed on that needs to be kind of like started before you can get distracted with something else, right? So listen for the guidance, right? After you ask the angels for help, listen for the guidance and watch for the signs. Ooh, perception. How we are perceiving everything, what is the word? Dictates the direction of our path, the course of our path, right? It's like our consciousness and what we perceive is happening is like creating our reality, and it's having an effect on how we show up and react or proactively meet our reality, right? So your perspective is going to determine your path. And truth. Align with truth. We always get these cards too with the romance oracle deck. It's always like have honestly discuss your feelings, have, deep connective like conversations to get to know one another. So truth is and perception, and ask the angels to help you perceive the truth, right? Ask for assistance and guidance to help you perceive the truth instead of what's convenient for you to believe, or what kind of cushions you and keeps you safe to believe but maybe isn't the truth. So open yourself up to seeing difficult truths, and also seeing past rose-colored glasses that would hide the reality of a situation. That would save us a lot of time if we could see past our emotions. All right, I think that's all for tonight, you guys. We will be back together tomorrow for our weekly reflection message. Until then, peace be with you. Ciao.